Welcome to Sunday yet again. Another week on Sisyphus' eternal crawl to the top and bottom. It is feeling pretty temperate today, but definitely starting to pick up heat again. It's a balmy 89 degrees Fahrenheit in New York City, and it looks like it's going to stay around 88 to 90 degrees for the next week or so. So, while I still have the high of having lived in a week of not super hot summer temps, I'm going to try to get some cooking done. I got a little bit of cooking done yesterday, but I would like to prep some more today. And I bought some carrots at the farmer's market for $4, and then I got some scallions, I think also for $4, and then I got some cucumbers, they were $6 a pound, and I got some collard greens, and I still have the purple cabbage in the fridge. So I was thinking of cooking the collard greens and maybe the cabbage together in like a mush concoction, maybe with the cream of mushrooms this week. And I have some frozen peas in the freezer that we could put in there as like extra protein. But maybe I'll fold in the peas after it's cooked so that the peas don't get really, really sad. And I also soaked some shiitake mushrooms that were dried, possibly left over from either my delish days or found in mom's kitchen, I'm not sure. So I think we can mushroom up the cream of mushroom even further. And for those of you who were not on last week's live, you are seeing mirror images. That's why the text is backward, and that's why that's backward is because one of my suspicions about why my lives kept burning out and burning out my phone was that not only was there a lot of outdated bloatware that is no longer supported on my Google Pixel 2 XL, but also the back-facing camera kept trying to focus on different, depths, and so that mechanism was wearing the camera out. That led to the phone burning out. That led to the battery dying. So we are flipped to the front camera, which makes my skin look a lot smoother because it's lower pixel and also no focusing. So hopefully the phone can carry us a little bit longer than it has in the last month. So I will plug you in probably half an hour because the phone is still pretty weak in terms of holding charge. But welcome. My physical health has taken a dip this week, but my mental health is okay. I would give myself like it's been swinging between a 6.5 and a 7.2. I feel like I'm sitting at a solid 6.97 right now. As always, I think mental health dips with physical health and vice versa. So not really sure what's causing the dip, but I've been holding on to a lot of weight. Like I somehow gained 5 pounds in the last week. I'm guessing it's water weight. I do feel like my hormones are a little bit out of whack because I've been getting my like hormonal acne that I get usually the 10 days before my period hits, but it's a little bit early, especially because my period's been running later the last 2 months. I've been experiencing all the premenstrual stuff like chocolate cravings and just bloating, and pain, like fatigue pain, and joint pain. That might or might not have anything to do with hormones. At this point, I don't know what to attribute to anything anymore. So my hormones are out of whack. Also, it's August, and August is when I realized a year after mom passed or so, August is when the grief starts hitting more. Mom passed in October, but for some reason, when it gets to August, my mood just like goes into the dumpster. I'm not sure why that is, but maybe the body is like preemptively readying itself to mourn. But whatever the case may be, that's where I'm sitting at right now. Don't have a lot of motivation to be active. Even when the weather was nice, I didn't even want to go outdoors. And I managed to clean my apartment yesterday, not because I wanted to get my shit together for myself, no. It was because an old classmate was coming through town and potentially needed a landing pad. They don't need it anymore as of now, but that was a great excuse for me to be like, all right, June, clean your ass up. So I spent yesterday cleaning my ass up. And unfortunately, Memo's not really eating well, and he's going through the poops, the literal poops. He's been having some runny poops this week. So, you know, we're hanging, but it's a little tired this week. But we're gonna cook. We're gonna prep some food. We're gonna eat. We're gonna hang out for as long as my phone stands up. And thank you for joining, and happy Sunday, and congrats to surviving another week. And that's my intro. Let me pull up chat so I can see what y'all are saying. And let me try to get my shit together so that I can figure out what to cook first. I also soaked some mung beans, but I'm realizing that was probably not a great move because I don't even want to eat the mung beans. Maybe we won't cook that today. I was gonna cook it with millet, but maybe we won't cook that today either. The millet might go good with the cabbage and the collard stuff. All right, we'll think about it. Actually, if I cook the millet now in the Instant Pot, it could be ready by the time I have the veggies prepped. All right, let's go for it. Should I cook the, oh gosh, indecision. I don't know what the hell this is. Maybe I should cook it on the stovetop instead. Millet on the stovetop. Alright. We're gonna get the millet cooked on the stovetop. Even my faucet is really sad today. I don't know what's going on. But I hope y'all are hanging in there. I don't normally wash my millet, but I guess my mom would be proud to know that I am washing my millet. And now that I'm cooking the millet on the stovetop, I'm thinking I should cook more of it. But maybe I shouldn't. I was thinking of cooking it like congee, so not literally like just to eat as a grain, but to eat as a porridge. Could be nice and cooling during the heat wave. Some cooling porridge. As for the mung beans, I was thinking of cooking it like a porridge too, so that I can drink the mung bean liquid, which is very cooling as well for the hot summer months. So that's what's currently in my mind. I'm sorry to hear your puppy's going through it. Tough times, y'all. The thing about life is you gotta die. And that's really not a bad thing if we can just bring ourselves to accept it. But I think a lot of us are used to running from it, which makes it very, very, very hard to live well if you're always trying to escape the ending of it. Ooh, sprout the mung beans in a huge damp cloth. I do have Mom's cheesecloth. I could do it. Do you cook the sprouts or just eat it raw? That's actually a fun idea. Do I want to cook the purple cabbage? I want to cook a little bit of the purple cabbage, but I want to keep the top of it for raw stuff. So I'm going to chop a little bit of it off. All right. Vegetable appreciation time. Look at that art. Look at that art. I want to put some scallions into the Instant Pot too. So those will have to get washed. So prep work is going to take a while. I probably should have cooked the mung beans. Is it too late? It's not too late. carrot tops are too tough to eat, so compost. I've never bought scallions at the farmer's market before because I always have such cheap scallions available at grocery stores, but today was the day. Today was the day where I was like, let us just eat farmer's market scallions for 4 times the price that we usually pay for scallions and see what happens. So we'll see what happens. Probably won't taste the difference, but at least we tried it. I'm gonna go grab my water bottle. Highly recommended, especially for summertime, is cold brew tea. I think I've mentioned it before, but I use about 1 heaping teaspoon of tea leaves per jar and leave it in the fridge for at least a day. And the flavor of the tea is concentrated, floral, and barely tannic enough that it doesn't hit that kind of like overbrewed cooked spinach vibe. So it's been very enjoyable. It's not as economical as, say, hot brewing half a teaspoon or even a 1/4 teaspoon of tea leaves, because I think that flavor kind of goes further with less tea, but that flavor is also very different. This one is like very perfumed, fragrant, and not as bitter as an over extracted tea, which I like, but I've been trying to use up the container of jasmine tea that I bought Grandma after Mom passed away. When Grandma first entered her care facility, she asked me for jasmine tea. And I found this tea tin. I don't think she used very much of it. And honestly, I realized later, but she was probably struggling with this inner tab. She didn't have a lot of grip strength. And as you can see, it took a lot of grip strength from me. But anyway, a sad tin of tea leaves that I think I just want to work through rather than let it sit. So I've been using it. Slowly moving through all of my grief items. What I find fascinating about the farmers market scallions is that they have these like tippy tops, which I almost never see in the grocery store scallions, which always have a tubular cut top. And I never thought about it. I mean, this is probably the way they're supposed to be. I don't know why the other ones look always cut. Maybe they're trying to make them look more uniform, easier to ship, IDK, but scallion tops. They're not leeks, they're scallions. The same stand did sell leeks though, but since we ate leeks for the past 2 weeks, I thought I'd try the scallions this time. Yes! Oh my gosh, amazing memory, Kathy. This was my mom's shirt, indeed. And I don't know why she cut it like this. It's got like a raw edge unraveling on the side here. I might sew that up, or I might just let it self-destruct in time. Who knows? Okay, it's not just me feeling weirdly hormonal. Like, I don't feel particularly emotional one way or another, but I feel like the way that my hormones are imbalanced, which leads to more body aches, pains, discomfort, lethargy, and fatigue, like, that's been riding high for me this week. I don't know what it is. My sleep is out of whack too. Like, everything just feels so disintegrated. Is there like a planetary explanation for why this is happening? Where are my horoscope girlies at? But I don't know what it is, but like things are just off. I feel dull, I feel dumb, I feel slow, I feel fat, like, you know, just I feel fat. So I feel like bloated. I just feel, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. Can you describe this? What does moon in Aries mean though? I need you to explain the woo-woo for me. I don't mind the woo-woo. I like the woo-woo. I just don't understand the woo-woo. The woo-woo is fun though. It's called perimenopause. Alright, great. So that's what it is. I guess we're just in perimenopause now. Fantastic. You can be an astrology girly if you're a guy. I use all of my gendered nouns as ungendered nouns, and it really fucks people up, which is why I love using them that way. I remember when I first started going on Tinder dates, I used to call dudes girl, like in that slangy way of like, girl, don't play with me, that kind of way, and they used to get so offended, even though I thought it was obvious that I was just using that like slangy way to joke about things. But a lot of guys told me they felt like I made them feel really uncomfortable that I kept calling them girl, and I was like, oh, maybe I should keep doing this, because why are you uncomfortable of being called a girl? But yeah, that's just my stubborn nature of making things uncomfortable for people, I guess. Gonna brush my carrots. Wait, I wanna read your comments while I brush my carrots. Can I have it all? Maybe if I had my shit together more, I could have it all, but I currently don't have my shit together, so. Honestly, who has their shit together anymore? Who? Aries, aggression, masculine energy, action can be unsettling. Wow. Wow, okay, cool. Thank you for breaking it down. This is awesome. Look at me multitasking with y'all. Mercury retrograde ends today. Okay, so can I explain my week so far on Mercury retrograde? Why is Mercury retrograde such a big deal? Why does everybody always blame Mercury being in retrograde for everything? Is it fair to Mercury? I feel like it's very unfair for Mercury to have to take on the burdens of people's discontent like this. Don't overbook yourself. Heard, chef. Yes. Well, yes, true. I had a little internal battle today. I was like, maybe I should reach out to friends and like be proactive about scheduling stuff. And my body was like, no, don't even. Do not even start thinking about doing anything social. And especially not initiating anything social. I feel like until December hits and like the holiday season is done, I'm just gonna go into a slow hermititude. Hermititude? Hibernation-titude? Yeah, I really don't feel like anybody has their shit together anymore, and the people who do have their shit together is like not in the same realm of reality as most people, And they're probably the ones who are being given the ability to have their shit together because everyone else is carrying the cost of them being afforded the luxury of having their shit together. And they're just deluding themselves. I just watched this reel today of a Gen Z woman who was basically, I think she's a content creator, I think she might be a painter or some sort of a artsy focus in her content. And she was talking about how people criticize her for not doing anything productive with her time. And she was like, I just graduated college, there's literally no jobs, and whatever jobs that I could have done if I were smarter are being taken up by AI. So like, what do you want me to do? If I can't do a job that I'm, good at, I might as well do a job that doesn't pay anything, that like at least fulfills me in some way. And I agree. If the world is just gonna bomb itself to bits, then at least fucking enjoy the time you have left instead of crunching numbers on a computer that slowly computers are gonna do for themselves anyway. So that's where the kids are going, and I agree with the kids. Doesn't seem like there's a point in pretending to have your shit together anymore. Oh yeah, that millet is gonna be delicious. Delicious. Okay, wow, that was already half an hour. Okay, I will plug you in just because you're at 36% already. Look at this battery just dying. Why do you feel bad for Gen Z? Are you not Gen Z? I feel like we're all kind of, those of us who have been on social media for at least the last decade to 2 decades, I feel like we're all to some degree raised on external validation. And even predating the internet and social media and all of that, like, that's what society is, right? Society is requiring ourselves to perform accordingly to gain external validation. Whether that be a job raise, creating your network, constantly elevating your social worth by being in proximity to people of power. I feel like that's just what society has been built around, no? Social media or not. It's just that social media has made it inescapably rampant in all segments of our consciousness. Especially because, like, I rarely go anywhere without my phone. My phone is omnipresent. My phone knows me better than I know myself sometimes. So, yeah. That's pretty terrifying, I guess. Do you think that we'll have a winter anymore? Because, like, this summer is the weirdest summer I've lived through yet. It feels like 1 week is dying of heat in the summer. 1 week is like, oh, psych, it's spring. 1 week is like, nah, it's fall. Here are the cold winds. Here's all the dryness that's causing your eyes to bug out and your nose to clam up and your throat to hurt. And do you have allergies or do you have a cold? Or is it COVID? Or, are you feeling shit or are you just sick? Like, I don't know what's what anymore. So truly feeling like we're in a post-structural phase of society currently. Just everything is losing meaning. None of the categories seem to apply anymore. Are seasons a social construct? Hi, Ram. Just me brushing carrots. So every week I have a new joint pain. 3 weeks ago, well, 5 months ago it was my elbow. 4 months ago, both of my knees started being crunchy and weird. 3 weeks ago, my right thumb pain returned. It was a pain that I had previously experienced for like 9 to 10 months, just out of nowhere. And it didn't go away, and now it's back. And then my left index finger joint is starting to hurt. And my doctor ran all these tests, and it's apparently not lupus. It's apparently also not rheumatoid arthritis. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with my body, but every week I have a new pain, and I have no idea what's wrong with my body. But maybe everything's just wrong with my body. That's possible. Maybe everything's just wrong with our world a little bit right now. That's very probable. Okay, I think the millet is done. I'm gonna turn off the heat, let it sit a little bit. Gonna spend 4 more minutes brushing these carrots, and then we'll rinse out the greens for a second time. We'll cut up the collards and the scallions to go into the Instant Pot. And I'm going to cut up the mushrooms. We'll add in the cream of mushroom can for seasoning. I feel good about this meal, but we'll see. Any spices you want me to put into the cream of mushroom veggie mush pot? Think about it, think about it. Yeah, I am going to eat the carrot skins, unless they look like they can't be cleaned, but most of them look like they can be cleaned. Look at this little guy. Look at this little guy with legs. Thyme, herb de Provence. Very good suggestion. Jellyfish. You have a not lupus, not rheumatoid, joint pain, fatigue, autoimmune. Oh my goodness. Is there a name, or is that the name? Because that sounds like exactly what I have, man. I love that doctors don't know what's wrong with me. Tests don't show anything. I love that I'm turning to Reddit and my own, live stream audience for diagnosis now, because that's just what we do now, I guess, in 2025. Welcome to the future, everyone. We thought we'd had flying cars, but we just have killing machines and really dumb people. That's the name. Goodness gracious. Undifferentiated connective tissue disease. Wonderful. It's kind of like the eating disorder, like EDNOS. Eating disorder not otherwise specified. We love it. It's just a way of people saying, we know you're hurting, we don't know what's wrong, sorry. It could be any of these issues, but we see you, we hear you, sorry about that, our condolences. So much of long COVID is that too, honestly. How did you get that diagnosis? And what were the other differential diagnoses that you went through before that was landed on? Hashimoto's. No. I guess I could ask my doctor, what are the symptoms of Hashimoto's? I feel like I looked it up. I feel like I looked up so many autoimmune disorders like 2 months ago, and I was just like, well, if that's what it is, that's what it is, and if that's what it's not, I guess that's what it's not. I guess at this point, I don't even care what diagnosis I have, kind of like my stance with autism. I guess at this point I'm just like, what can I do to not make this worse for myself? Like, what are the treatments available for me to kind of get it under control, or at least slow down the progression of the disease? This is what I think about with Memo too. You know, like Memo probably has something going on. If it's not chronic pancreatitis, it's probably some sort of irritable bowel disease, which can lead to cancer if it's not already cancer. Who knows? So at this point, I'm just like, what can I do to keep him comfortable? You know, because I know he's not feeling great, but there's only so much I can do with an older cat who hates going to the vet and will absolutely shred me if I take him. And we'll just have to come up with solutions and be smart about it. Given limited resources, I'm gonna put 5 carrots into the Instant Pot. The rest can hang out this week. Oh god, almost trip over my computer. The rest can hang out with my cucumbers. UCTD. Alright. I'll open it up in a browser and look it up later. Thank you for that recommendation. Appreciate you all, my doctors. You have Hashimoto's too. Okay, great. It attacks the thyroid, affecting the metabolism. Checks out, checks out. Requires lab to rule out other room conditions and 3 years of patient. Oh my lord. I do have a high positive ANA. My doctor is saying it's my IgA nephropathy history. But I do have it. It was 640 on the first test and it was 320 on the second test, so it was like a little bit lower on the second test. Great. I will ask my doctor about it, I guess. It's really it's almost like embarrassing. It's getting to that point where I'm just like, I feel bad for bothering doctors about these things. Because I almost feel like they get exhausted from listening to me complain with no answers. And at a certain point I'm just like, maybe we don't need to look into it anymore. But chopping vegetables hurt my elbow now. Like, not bad. It's like a 4 out of a 10. It's not comfortable though. So it's taking away my desire to cook too. Because every cut hurts a little bit. Which over time trains me to not want to cook. Like, I'm cutting all these carrots and my brain is just going, you could just eat it. You could just chew it without cutting it. We don't have to cook. And I'm like, you're right. We don't have to cook. Carrots taste delicious uncooked. It's also getting a little bit dangerous, like, without enough force on this hand, I'm kind of just sliding all over the place because my center of exertion is off balance now. It's pretty though. I really want to strength train. I really do. I miss it so much. I want so badly to go back to the gym. I just don't know anymore. Like, what is the best thing to do? Considering that people aren't masking still, and I'm still kind of weary about catching not just COVID, but like flu and shit like that. I worry about whether or not I'm doing damage to my joints if I work out. Because my doctor was like, oh, were you doing too many bicep curls? Like, that'll affect it. And I'm like, I was doing bicep curls with 10-pound weights. Like, creamy mushroom gum. is my soaked mushrooms. I'm gonna watch out and not use all of this soaking broth because there are grits on the bottom. But, oh god. Yep, that hurt a little bit too. I'm gonna pour some of it in here and rinse out the can and get all that mushroom taste in here. Sometimes I just feel like there's so much wrong in the world. Like, why even bother diagnosing what I have? I just want to go straight into pain management. I guess it would be easier to manage pain if you know what you had, but I don't know, is it? Because sometimes I'm like, I don't think y'all know what you're talking about. I don't know if people know what they're talking about anymore. I'm gonna go in with white pepper and black pepper. And a little bit of turmeric for color and health, but not too much, because then it turns the food disgustingly into too turmeric-y. Then I think someone suggested herb de Provence. Oh god. Almost did that again, so I'm not doing that again. Okay. Which is a great suggestion because I almost never use this blend. I'm gonna add in a little shake of ground bay leaf too. I really like this one because it tastes kind of sweet to me, like a butterscotch. It's the Caribbean one. I'm gonna add in a little bit of smoked paprika. And also sweet paprika. A little bit of garlic powder. Now we'll mix that all in while there's still minimal ingredients in here. Distribute that seasoning out. I want to be a muscle mommy so bad. You don't even know, man. After more than a year and a half of not working out, oh god, there is so much pent-up anger inside me. I used to be able to go to the gym and just like fucking ram out the anger inside me. I don't have that outlet anymore. It sucks. I've been trying to like handle it, but anger doesn't go away like that. Alright, I'm gonna chop up some of these rehydrated mushrooms. especially now, holy shit, I have so much anger. I just don't have the energy to express it. Let's eat the scallion raw. Spicy, sweet, herbal, floaty is how I would describe that flavor. It hits in a very grounding way where the spicy is like very earthy and aged almost, but the floral quality is like very much in the air. So there's a striation of earthy spiciness that's grounding it, and then a more floral, grassy, floaty flavor note that's hovering above it on top of the palate. It's creating this kind of like you're walking on the ground, but also floating in the air. Kind of like a dream state, actually. You ever have those dreams where you're just like walking and then all of a sudden you're not quite walking, you're just walking in air? You're kind of like, I don't know, a foot or two off the floor? That's what it feels like. I'm gonna cook all the stalks that are kind of like tougher looking because I don't think they would be very good in a salad. But mostly just because I'm afraid if I don't cook them now, they might rot in my fridge. So I would rather use them sooner than later. Especially because they're so nice and expensive. Have I watched any good movies or shows lately? Not this week. Have you? Okay, I'm cutting up the collars now. I'm probably not going to add any salt in here because this cream of mushroom has 2.5 servings, with each serving totaling 37% sodium. Yeah, that's a lot of sodium in here. That was another half hour. I was talking with my friend Samira today about how having a timer is so helpful now to like give me a sense of how much time has passed. I don't know if this is COVID related. I don't know if this is just like communal trauma related, or if it's just because phone usage and screen time usage is like fucking us all over. But I do sense that I have ADHD tendencies, and timers have been very, very helpful in kind of reminding myself. I want to eat this leaf. How much time has passed? That's a delicious leaf. I'm gonna save some leaves uncooked. I also just love seeing leaves with like holes in them. They're not rotting, they're just tested and approved for flavor. You know that the bugs were just like, that's good shit. keeps you guys motivated? Because I feel like I could be inspired by folks who are still somehow managing to feel like there's a point to all of this. I'm not convinced, but I welcome you to share and convince me. Alright. Is that everything I wanted to put in there? Great, let's set it and forget it. Manual. I'm gonna do 12 minutes because last time the cabbage was completely creamed to smithereens. Actually, let's just do 10. There's nothing in there that needs to be cooked that long. I'm gonna pee, then I shall return. I'm gonna read your comments for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna eat some of the stuff that I cooked yesterday, because I'm getting a little bit hungry. Boop. Boop. Spite. What leaves? Those were collard green leaves. They're baby collard green leaves. I also would take recommendations for what kind of strength training exercises I can do, because currently I have finger joint issues. I have one elbow that is very inflamed. In fact, my doctor last time said she could actually see that this was more swollen. I know it's because I'm like on the skinnier side that you can't really tell, but she was looking at it and she was like, yeah, that actually does look inflamed to me. There's that. I have knee issues, and also my right hip joint, which has been fucked up for a few years now, has been more agitated or inflamed, whatever you want to call it. I've been feeling every time I do a deadlift motion, every time I do like a Cossack squat, it feels like the tendon or whatever the joint buffer there is just like raw. It feels injured. And it used to be the case that I was at a place physically where I was like, all right, you know, I'm going to sustain some injuries. As long as it's not getting worse, it's okay. And I'll just make sure I don't do that move 2 days in a row. But now that so much of my body is in pain and inflamed, I'm just like, how do I not make sure? Like, how do I make sure that not one more joint hurts, you know? Because at this point, I'm just like, do I have a year before my entire body is just fucked? You know, I can still walk, but at this rate, I'm like kind of just anticipating not even. I mean, I'm starting to feel pain chopping vegetables. So, anyway, not complaining. I know I sound like I'm a very complaining person, but this is just my way of processing out loud, like all of my observations and related anxieties of how much far south it can go from here, and just being realistic about here are my symptoms, and I would like to be optimistic and productive in altering the path that I'm on in some way, but like, who's to say I can? Creativity is motivating for you, for sure. I feel that. Playing little games, hoping your sugar mama will buy you a Switch. Yeah, keep hoping. You have a hope that a better society exists on the other side. Well, I think it's up to us for us to move to the other side. It's not that like we're bad here, that we're good over there. It's that we have to get ourselves to that point by transforming here to there. So I think, you know, I think it's gonna happen. I don't know how fast it's gonna happen. It won't happen until it needs to happen for the most part. I see people just adapting when they need to, and like the threshold for when you need to change is ever increasing. So many people, I don't think, realize that they will need to change sooner or later, and it's probably easier to change now than later, but I think our tendency for the most part is to wait. So I guess we're gonna wait. Ooh, you're a trainer. Thanks, Eddie Dog. We like sincere posts. Sincere posts are great. I also feel like people, when they hear of a problem, they jump to wanting to fix it, and they can't like rest mentally and emotionally and psychologically until they fix it. And I notice this a lot because people hear my rants on these lives, or people read my Instagram captions that feel heavy and unresolved and like grief ridden, and they always want to be like, you know, you'll pull out of it one day, or they're very encouraging, but like I think the angle that they encourage me from is a little bit misunderstood, because I don't really think that we need to be, you know, pulling through out of anything. I think we just need to experience it. And I'm feeling like some people don't want to experience it, so they just want to like bypass through it as fast as possible, because they think that like this is the wrong place to be and that's the right place to be. Whereas I'm like, no, you need to like suffer through here and live through it until it doesn't feel like suffering anymore, and that's when you will gradually find yourself there. How to shift the experience and perspective of what is suffering, I think, will change a lot of the way we move through hardships. Ooh, swimming, yeah. My friend Nez also wants to swim. Good luck finding like a place to swim in New York City if you're not fucking rich, though. Especially with a public pool, I feel like I'm just gonna absorb all the diseases. But yeah, being suspended in water feels amazing on the joints. If I could get over my fear of water. Did you end up playing some Mendelssohn? I stopped playing the keyboard that was so generously gifted to me. I offered to give it back, but the viewer was like, no, I don't really use it, so you can keep it for now. So it's just hanging. It's hanging in my living room. It's not like a full keyboard, so a lot of the pieces have notes that I can't reach because it's off of the octaves available on the keyboard. So that kind of was demotivating, but I'm also just lazy. I'm lazy and I'm tired and I'm addicted to my screen time. Let's not blame it on the keyboard. It's me and my lack of motivation. But you know, not gonna make myself feel bad about it. It's just gonna sit there until one day I play it or I don't. You're a parent with chronic pain and illness. Hearing my kids talking and caring for each other when I'm bedridden. Oh. Fat is a precursor to hormones. You know what? I do feel like when I ate the yogurt, my body felt better. Isn't that weird? I'm trying to be off dairy because everybody's like, dairy's bad for you. Also because of my cholesterol experiment, but I felt really nice eating yogurt. So that's something that I've been thinking about. Like my body's been hurty. Low grade hurty. Not like ow ow hurty, but like, I don't feel good hurty. And it's been craving dairy. I don't know what's going on with that, but I miss my yogurt and my cheese for sure. Hi, Grease. So maybe I'll eat some yogurt this week. You know, because hey, if my health is gonna go in the dumpster, then I guess I'll just take whatever cholesterol comes my way. B12 supplement, yeah. I'm eating some magnesium with B6. I'm having some niacin B3 in the morning. I have my nutritional yeast that has B12 additives. I also got B12. I've been trying to cycle through all the supplements. You know, I've been trying stuff. I haven't given up. We'll just keep trying. Whatever happens, happens. Here is our cooked millet sludge. Look at that gruel. I love gruel. Okay. I'm gonna cook the mung beans too. And I have these 2 pieces of coconut, not coconut, oh my god. I'm gonna have, I have 2 pieces of cinnamon here that I think my mom left behind. I'll pop it in there. Alright, let's taste our millet gruel. This is actually my favorite texture for gruel. It's like stodgy, but liquidy still. Such a nice texture. This might have been glutinous millet. Certainly feels glutinous. Flavor-wise, straw-like, neutral, not a lot of taste. Kind of like rice. The grains are a little more noticeable, fibrous-y in the middle. Not like a corn husk fiber, but just more like a wholemeal flour fiber. But I do like millet a lot. In Chinese, it's called small rice, where rice is big rice. So da mi is white rice, xiao mi is millet. Gonna move you away from the Instant Pot heat. Is anyone else getting very suspicious pro-China propaganda popping up on their Instagram Explore and algorithms? Like every day. It started with like pretty innocuous shit, like the hype in traditional Chinese medicine, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But they're all like beautiful young women promoting TCM. And now it's just like straight up political propaganda. It's like all the ways in which America sucks, all the ways in which China is more developed. And like, people say China lives in the future, but no, actually, China is in the present and we're just in the past. Like shit like that. Are you getting that too? Just me? Is it targeted? Hi, Gary. Alright, here's what I cooked yesterday. For the keen-eyed, you can see that my compost bag this week was the wood ear because I finished cooking the wood ear up. I blanched it, I sliced it, and mixed it with gochujang. I also cooked some soybeans. That's the little round yellow stuff that you see in there. I cooked some soybeans in there. I macerated a little bit of purple cabbage with some spices and salt, and then rinsed it. So this is like a cold salad. And I shall be having some of this cold salad right now. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm also getting clumsier. I think that's just old. The late 30s are hitting quite hard. I know they were gonna hit. I didn't know they were gonna hit this hard. This year has been very humbling. I had this almost like optimistic, superstitious hope that my health was gonna get miraculously better after Grandma passed. Because I was like, what if all the energy that has been diverted to caring for grandmother comes back to me? And like, what if grandmother's spirit will help me float a little bit better through life? But nope, I feel like things have just... things have just been things. But maybe things will take time. Maybe I'm just feeling really sad, and that's all part of it. Okay. Wow, we're coming up on another half hour. It's been 90 minutes. You ready for crunchy cabbage? So satisfying. Let us sit. Let us sit. I'm actually gonna have to skim this mung bean a little bit. Also, this is like a lot of factors combined, you know. There's genetics, obviously. I've also just, we've all gone through the fucking ringer, but I think just one after another, my body is not strong enough to endure all that has been happening. So if I'm not really depressed about where my body is sitting at and where my health is sitting at and what my situation is, but I am sad. I think there's a difference between being sad and being depressed. Like, depressed is like a sort of hopeless dread that feels like it's ever sinking. And sad is just acknowledging that, oh, this is not ideal, but okay, like we're gonna go through it, okay. And I think it makes a lot of sense for me to be where I'm at, considering how much shit has happened, not just in my personal life, but in the world, in my own awareness. So it's a lot to process, and it's kind of like, you know, a blender overheating. It'll burn out if you keep pushing it. And I think my life has been pushed to its limits, and I'm in severe burnout mode, and like, that's to be expected. Does it suck? Yes. Is there a chance that the blender is going to come back to life after it rests sufficiently and cools off? Yes, absolutely. Like, my Vitamix has burnt out more times than I can count because I kept pushing it to its limits, making nut butter. But it's come back. It's just important that you let it cool off sufficiently before you would, you know, abuse it again. But yeah, so I think that's the function of me saying things out loud, is like, I'm processing out loud that this is what I'm experiencing, and it is not ideal, but it is okay. Like, this is just the way things are, and that's that. And it doesn't mean that I've given up hope or that I'm not going to do anything to like try to manage it. It just means it sucks, and we're going to acknowledge that it sucks. Yeah. I don't really drink alcohol, but for sure. I mean, I think I abuse other substances, like lack of sleep. I think screen addiction is a substance. I abuse food. You know, I use it to like comfort myself and to emotionally eat. Like, that's not good. You know, I rely on weed sometimes to fall asleep, which is, you know, we all need to take some drugs sometimes to manage our symptoms. But I've run out of weed, so I've just been smoking the little keef dust that's been left over from the last year, interspersed with mint leaves or red raspberry leaves, which smokes oddly citrusy. If you've ever smoked red raspberry leaf, it almost has a lemony flavor to it. Very interesting. And yeah. I just posted an article on my Instagram today about the Instant Pot, actually, which is right here. This is the Instant Pot that my mom left behind. I don't think she ever used it, and in fact, this is one of my guilt moments when thinking about mom, is that I remember going to her once and she was asking me, how do I use this? And I was like, there's a manual, look it up. And like, that was just me being a little asshole. But I guess she never used it because it still had the tag on and everything, and it looked new. But anyway, guilt aside, I thought that article was really interesting because the Instant Pot was apparently such a successful product. It sold so well and became so popular because it was a good product that it had like a great streak for, you know, a few years, and now it's gone bankrupt. Like, the division of the parent company that owns Instant Pot has gone bankrupt because they can't, like, quote unquote innovate, because they make such a good product that there's no more problems to solve for consumers through an appliance like this. I mean, I have the air fryer add-on lid. Doesn't really work that well. It doesn't work as well as an air fryer. But I guess that was their attempt at you know, trying to expand the product line and to sell more shit. But like, once you make such a successful product, you can't sell as much shit anymore. because you made a successful product and you don't need anything more. But like that's what causes failure in capitalism, is when you can't sell more shit that people don't need. So you constantly have to make things break or make them horrible so that people have to keep buying new shit. New bad shit. New bad shit that will fall apart. New bad shit that doesn't actually do the job that you wanted them to do. Yeah. Life is an accumulation of coping mechanisms. I do agree. Congratulations on leading yourself out of addiction. That's big. That's big. That took a lot of dedication and determination and commitment. Edibles, I know it's been recommended to me, but edibles hit me really hard and I feel physically sick sometimes from eating them. They give me like period-like cramps. It's weird, and they make me feel like I'm gonna throw up my entire guts. It's not pleasant. It almost feels like a heart attack. I guess this is why people say we have to like start doing things for ourselves now, because you can't really have sovereignty over your life and your choices if you don't have the ability to make different choices. Because if the people in charge of giving you options don't actually ever give you the option that you need and want to choose, you'll just be left choosing between options of what you don't want less. And so like when it comes to clothing not having pockets, like I don't know, maybe we just need to learn how to sew and make our own shit, you know? And like yeah, there are indie clothing producers that make stuff, but it tends to follow this cycle of like, oh, I made this just for me, or I made this just for friends, and then I blew up because people were like, yes, I'm into this product, and then you start mass producing it, and then the quality goes down, or you know, the price is too steep, or some sort of inaccessibility comes into play, and then if you get successful to the point where you can sell out the company to a conglomerate and you get acquired, then like that's the death of that innovation. So it's almost like this exercise of having the ability to desire sovereignty first, and then having the time and the space and the determination to follow through on acquiring sovereignty, which demands a lot. It demands a whole different lifestyle. Like you can't make your own clothes if you're working 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. So yeah, everything does feel a little bit like a catch-22. How does Lodge stay in business? Great question. I'm not sure. And how do they make it so cheap? Like it's so cheap to buy Lodge new. I don't know. Maybe iron is just so abundant. Maybe it's because even at their low price point, their profit margin is enough to keep going because iron is so abundant. And maybe people keep buying because it's so aspirational to be a badass who cooks on cast iron, but so many people don't know how to take care of it, so they end up trashing the cast iron that they buy accidentally by not knowing how to maintain it, and then they're like, whoops, and then like a year or two goes by and they're like, I really want to be a cast iron person, and then they buy a new cast iron. I don't know, is that the cycle? That's what my gut says. Because, like, you're selling the aspiration, but some people only want to buy the aspiration and they don't want to follow through on the commitment of a lifestyle. So it is very profitable to just sell people dreams without substance. I'm starting to think all the time about like all the lies that are embedded into like small things. And then you get used to lies everywhere and you're not surprised when you're deceived. So this may make you laugh, but I was thinking about the lies of pasta cooking times on boxes. Why do they always tell you to cook it for 3 minutes longer than you need and then you get like mushy pasta? Is that the way most people like their pasta, is like overcooked? I don't know. To like bigger things, like the government lying to you about what COVID is when they didn't fucking know. To like current day lying about what's happening in Gaza and all of the individual organizations that are working together to manifest a genocide in order to reap whatever it is they want to reap out of that land. To people at my college doing PR saying very blatant lies that can't be fact checked. Like there was a school-wide email that went out at the beginning of last school year that was like, you know, trying to remind everybody that they had new code of conduct rules to follow. Of course, basically de facto banning protest. And they were just like, as a reminder, both students in support of Palestine and students in support of Israel have been sanctioned. And I'm just like, really? Have there been students sanctioned for being pro-Israel? And then I asked faculty and I asked current students, and they were just like, there were some vigils after like October 7th, like immediately after. We haven't seen any pro-Israel protests on campus. So like, what would be the scenario of a student getting punished and sanctioned for being pro-Israel? You know, like, you're really just gonna spread lies like that. Okay, I guess you're in a place of power to do that, and people will just like believe you. But I don't believe shit now. You know, there was that quote-unquote mass shooting in Midtown a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. What is the real reason for the shooting? Who did he intend to shoot? Like, who knows? But the media is certainly not telling us all of the story. And the details that they are releasing are sus. Did you know that the CEO he killed led a solidarity support trip to Israel after October 7th happened? I wonder what real estate and Israel has to do with each other. I'm addicted to the shopping part. Because the mentality is, I'm doing all this work to earn this money, so like I must enjoy my life somehow because I am miserable due to trading my life hours to get this pay, right? So if I have any money left over after paying my bills, like it would make sense for me to want to treat myself to something, because the job that I'm working most likely makes me miserable on some level, and I need to like compensate myself to feel good enough to go back to that job and continue this cycle of being on a hamster wheel of being miserable, and then giving myself a little dose of drug somehow to make myself feel not miserable all the time. But like within that, we can choose what we spend our money on, right? Buying a new phone when your old one isn't breaking versus, you know, thrifting a piece of old clothing has, I think, two very different environmental and socioeconomic impacts. So there's a part of me that's just like, so much of our desire mechanisms have been hijacked. Like, so much of our upbringing, our socialization, the advertisement industry, like everything has been cueing us to want things that maybe wasn't even, it may not even be things I didn't want. It may just even be things that I didn't even like think about. I think about this in terms of gender performance too, you know? Like, where did I learn that to look a certain way is the good way to be? I learned it through my mom. I learned it through media. I learned it through social rejection, you know? Aziz Ansari looking at me up and down and then ignoring me after I said hi to him at the Frieze Art Fair was like one of those instances where I was like, oh, if I don't look hot, people won't pay attention to me. And yes, that was a very specific case with like an asshole celebrity who didn't need to pay attention to me, but like that was a very clear instance of, if you don't present yourself a certain way, you're of no value. Like, people literally will just ignore you, right? And that's true for homeless people on the subway who are panhandling. Like, they get ignored by most of the people. They are looked upon as a nuisance. I bet when I said hi to Aziz Ansari at the Frieze Art Fair dressed the way I was in a buzz cut and a oversized Snoopy sweatshirt, that I was being a nuisance to him. Like, he would have rather not have heard my voice or seen me block his way to art that day. And that's fine, right? But like, that was a learning moment for me that didn't even hit until years after, of knowing what the currency is of desiring things and being desired by others. There are so many layers to why we want the things we want, and it's not always as clean cut and clearly logical as we are made to think. Yeah, no, I don't always want people to pay attention to me. You're absolutely right. Or at least I don't want people to pay attention to me for the reasons they want to pay attention to me. I want them to pay attention to me the way I want to be paid attention to, for the things that I want to be noticed for. You know what I mean? And this is something that I learned through Hinge dating too. Like, obviously there's a lot that goes into dating, and you know, a lot that results in heartbreak and misunderstanding and all of that, but I think a large part of me being on Hinge was presenting as an Asian woman. People walked into my profile and matched with me and talked with me, perceiving me as an Asian woman. And I wanted to be liked, so I probably consciously and unconsciously performed a certain aspect of Asian woman so that I could heighten their desire for me. So the blame is not all on the other party. Also complicit and a participant in this. So then it resulted in co-creating this unknown fantasy of me being an Asian woman according to their presumptions of what an Asian woman is, according to my presumptions of what their presumptions of an Asian woman is, and then me finding out that like I don't actually want to be Asian woman in that way. And then me starting to quote unquote unmask what's underneath Asian woman became unpalatable and probably shocking and surprising and undesirable to them. Like, that's just my take on it. I'm not saying this is real, but that's my analysis on it, is that there's a lot of guesswork when you go into dating scenarios of projecting your fantasies onto the other person while learning about them and manipulating the data intake of who they are and what they do to fit your narrative of who you want them to be, right? And there comes to a certain point in the relationship where you are at a crossroads of trying to understand how the reality of this person and your relationship is deviating from your presupposed fantasies and projections. And then that's the crossroads at which you decide whether or not you want to continue knowing this person or not. And I feel like most people that I've been in any sort of relationship arrangement with through Hinge have decided I'm not worth the trouble that I am. Which is fair, right? All's fair in love and war. But war is not good in my opinion, and maybe love isn't either. Because why is love and war lumped together? That's weird. Have you ever thought about that saying? That's weird. That's a really... Anyway. It's on my bucket list to try one. Ugh. Sorry, I think my like reproductive organs just did a dry heave and like shrunk back in to themselves. Like a collapsible tote bag stuffing itself into its own built-in pocket. That's what my organs just did after reading that. I'm so sorry. But yeah, there's a lot of people just looking to try people through the apps. Because think about it. The apps present people as if we're products. And I very much enjoy that aspect of the dating apps until I got my heart and soul and psyche crushed in, right? I love swiping through. I love seeing people present themselves as who they wanted to be seen. I love judging people. Like, on my own, I just love the consumption factor. And I'm sure a lot of us do. But when it comes down to settling down with someone in a relationship and you're still carrying that mindset of consumption forward, that's when you end up damaging other people. And yourself, probably. Because you're just looking at them as another thing to acquire or another dopamine hit to, you know, snort and then let it pass through your system and you shit it out and you excrete it and you're done, right? But like that was a whole person that you just chewed up and excreted out. So yeah, if you guys see me in the streets, say hi. I would prefer you say hi than not say hi. I've had a couple of people be like, I think I saw you here. And I'm like, why didn't you say hi? Why would you DM me this after the fact? Which I understand. You respected my space and you weren't sure if it was me. I totally understand. But yes, I welcome saying hi. As long as you're not creepy about it. I haven't actually had anyone be creepy to me in person who knew me from my videos, so thank you. Thank you everyone for not being creepy to me IRL. I've had quite a few instances where like I could tell the person was holding on to certain impressions of what Chinese people are. I had one person he was like on the verge of asking me for ice, and he was like, oh no, never mind, you wouldn't. And I was like, I wouldn't what? I wouldn't have ice because I'm Chinese? Like, girl, I'm westernized. I'm American, and that's why my body is so fucked up. It's because I have Chinese hardware and American software, and these two things are not compatible. I've been eating ice my whole life, despite my relatives telling me that it's bad for me. And you know what? They right. Now at 36, they right. They are right. But I'm still drinking ice because I love it. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to being an American. Someone asked you on a job interview, what are you? I feel like that's a law violation. Not that worker law counts for anything anymore. But yikes. I had a viewer spot me in Salvation Army the other day. They came up to me and they were like, I'm so sorry, but are you June? And I was like, yes. I had my mask on and everything. Store was closing. But yeah, I don't mind. Even if I'm with a friend, come say hi. If you want to, no pressure. Do whatever you want. If you want to like stare at me from afar and that brings you excitement and happiness, I am so happy that happened for you. But if you want to say hi, I welcome all highs and hellos. The love and war book coming from the male perspective of love as conquering. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, I've had a couple of viewers who have invited me to Koreatown in LA. I got some LA folks who are ready to fatten me up, and I've been in LA twice. I think I have to heal from those 2 times first. The first time I got hit by a car softly, but so randomly and so weirdly. And then the second time I went with Aaron, and it was fine. It was fine. LA is a little bit overwhelming. And I almost feel so detached from myself the entire time I'm in LA. It's very interesting because I think being in a different geographical, cultural place almost feels like dating a person, where the person that you're dating creates this environment where it elicits different parts of you to come out. And LA just feels like I'm constantly lost, even though I know where I'm going. Like, I don't know if anyone else has that experience. That was another half hour, by the way. And I'm going to turn off this mung bean soup for now, and let it sit in its own heat. But yes, thank you for the invite. And I know you LA folks are very passionate about Koreatown. All 3 people have invited me to Koreatown. Noted. Did I tell? Okay, I was just telling a coworker about my experience in Koreatown. This was the year Mom passed away, so 2021. August 2021. Wow, 4 years. There was a story that just came out about a higher upper employee at Food 52 who used a company card to spend over, this is only the amount they can account for, the actual amount is probably bigger, but she stole like $270,000 of random purchases by using her company card and like filing it as for work when it had nothing to do with work. And I laughed when I saw that story because it immediately reminded me of the time when I was in LA for a work trip for Delish. They wanted me to cozy up to Netflix officials on this like Netflix Delish collab event. That was so strange, so weird. And I had a per diem stipend to spend on food, right? I think it was like $50 or $70 for the day. And like you could spend up to, I don't know, something like $30 for dinner or something like that. Not a huge ton. But I went to Koreatown because I saw this food video about a place that had bone broth, and you had the set meal of like kimchi and rice and then this this very filling bone broth, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to this place, and it's cheap enough for me to fit $30. And that meal came to about 15. So I was like, okay, I have $15 left over for this meal, right? Per diem max. So I decide to tip the rest of that per diem amount. A few days later, on Labor Day, I get an email from somebody who works for the finance department at Hearst, a contractor, I later learned, so not even a full-time employee. I get an email saying, I tipped too much on this meal because I guess they scour over these receipts and they have someone look at every single line, so they saw that the meal was only 15 and that I tipped like 10 or 15, and that was like way too much tip, even though the total amount fell under the per diem limit. And they asked me to reimburse back the tip because the tip was unreasonable. And I was like, what is a reasonable tip? And they were like, 15 to 20. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you're giving me this money to spend and I can't spend it on tip? So, hilarious, right? Media is a very interesting place. It's a clown show. It's a clown. They're all clown shows in different ways. So at Food 52, this lady got away with spending over $250,000 before they caught her. Meanwhile, at Hearst, I couldn't even tip someone $10 extra. This is a company that has millions in revenue. Good God. And their severance package for me when I got fired, that came with an NDA that I did not take, was like $9,000. Even though every single one of my videos' ad revenue probably was 30 to 40K within the year. So it is very hard for me to do the math, but you can probably tell that things are fucked. Things are fucked. Truly a big ass joke. It's all a big ass joke. Yeah, LA is more about destination. I like places that are about exploration because I don't want to go to specific spots, especially if they've already been highlighted. Like, it's nice to check out a couple of those, but the rest of the time I just want to be like immersed, and it's hard to be immersed in LA when cars literally drive into you as you're walking. So yeah, probably won't be moving to LA anytime soon. I love it when people get offended and defensive and they shoot back an accusation that you didn't even verbalize, like, I'm not racist. I guess your brain was already thinking about it. So, are you sure you're not? Is what my brain says. Yeah, wage theft is like, it outweighs everything, right? Media makes such a big deal about people shoplifting. Wage theft, on the other hand, you don't even ever see a single penny of that. They just don't give it to you. And wage theft happens in so many different ways too. I've been thinking about this. At first it was like them rejecting me any overtime, but the amount of work that they gave me was impossible to do in just 40 hours. In restaurants, they basically say the same thing. You're capped at this number of hours, you can't sign in early, you can't sign out late, you're not allowed to do free work, but you need to do all of these things, and that's how you end up fucking cutting your fingertip off. Because you're trying to like push yourself, and then they format it into like this badge of honor of like, well, if you speed up and become an expert in nice skills, then like you become more efficient, and like that's hot. But no, girl, that's just exploitation. Glamorized, glorified exploitation. That's why I don't really watch The Bear. It's like kind of traumatizing for me. And it's like sugar coated too. Ain't nobody walking away from a minimum wage restaurant job and ever coming back because they feel something in their heart. No. Like, I've never seen that happen in 4.5 years of working in New York City restaurants. If someone walks out on the job, they fucking leave. They're gone. They've got like 3 other potential places lined up. I believe that, Maddie. I mean, shit. New York State has sent me 2 letters over the last 5 years asking me to compensate them for underpaid taxes in tax years that were like over 2 or 3 years ago. Meanwhile, they didn't give me unemployment until 9 months after I had been fired. By which point I had stopped filing for unemployment because I thought I was never going to get it. So like, why even bother? Because I didn't hear a single thing from anyone. The first, second, and third payments showed up 9 months after I got fired. Can you imagine if I had no safety net, no financial piggy bank to fall back on? I would have been fucking homeless waiting for that unemployment check. And now I'm fully locked out of that account because they instilled 2-factor authentication, and I didn't set it up, so I can't log into my account now with the Department of Labor. So that's cool. All kinds of clown show incompetence, nonsensical shit. Meanwhile, if you don't pay taxes, your wages get garnished, your bank accounts get garnished, you get jail, maybe, if you don't pay up. It's weird, right? It only goes one way. That power dynamic only goes one way. So the same thing with Swarthmore College's code of conduct. They have all these rules for what students can and can't do. Meanwhile, the school is violating their own code for students by abusing them to punish certain students and not others. But, of course, the code of conduct is just for students, not for the school to follow. So, good luck trying to push back on that shit. I didn't even get a single notification that they were installing 2-factor. I didn't know until I got my first, second, and third payment all in the span of like a week. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Can I log in and, I don't know, claim more? And I was like, oh, I'm locked out. I can't actually claim anything or do anything or check anything because I can't log in, you know? So, yeah, just saying that makes my ovaries hurt. I think I'm gonna induce my period early this month. What the fuck is going on? Mung bean soup, lots of liquid, nicely softened, burst open beans. I'll let it chill in there so the beans can continue cooking. The Instant Pot has dropped, so we can open it now. And that was 10 minutes. Smells creamy and cooked thoroughly, but not like soggy completely. And this is the time for us to either add TVP or more cornstarch to thicken it. I think I definitely want to add some TVP because I think this cream of mushroom is going to be so delicious with TVP. But also some cornstarch might be in order. Why do you have 4 Instant Pots? Why would you need 2? Oh my goodness. Well, you should give them to your ex. Have him take them. That's a lot of Instant Pots, girl. Is there anything else I can throw in here? Peas. We were gonna add peas. Were you gonna remind me? I got these peas from Lidl. Lidl? Bye. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all the astrology lessons. My mom was the one who always said I should rinse frozen vegetables, and I never did it until I worked at Delish. And then we would run them through water so that they would separate and not have frosty bits. And I was like, oh, aesthetic and functionality sold. I remember my mom used to bemoan the fact that I would never listen to her advice until someone else gave the same advice. Does anyone else's parents bemoan that? Hi, Tennessee. I really do think my period's gonna come early. What the hell? I feel sick. It doesn't help that I've also been reading accounts of women who have heart attack and they literally feel just like they're gonna throw up. I'm like, how do I tell? Doesn't help that my mom probably passed away from heart disease suddenly. Apparently male and female heart attacks feel different. Mush. Let's eat our hot mush. It's got collards. It's got red cabbage. It's got scallions. It's got rehydrated mushrooms. Did I say carrots? Carrots. Collard greens. Spices. Cream of mushroom soup concentrate. Rehydrated mushrooms, I said that already. TVP. This is like the world's ugliest casserole in an Instant Pot. I bet I could go viral if I named it that. My main problem is all of my jars are not available to hold leftovers right now. So where do I put you? Where do I put you indeed? Mom's bowl that she would always put leftovers in whenever I visited her and she cooked for me. Thanks, Mom. Let me just wipe it of dust, if any. Okay. Wait, I should taste it first before we put it all in case we need to reseason any of this. Too hot. Bathroom break. I'm gonna go pee, and then we'll come back and taste. In the meantime, when I was peeing, I was like looking at myself in the mirror in my mom's shirt and thinking about how my mom was always concerned about her upper arm being too fat. And I was like, am I concerned about being too fat now too with all of my hormonal shit and health shit? And then I was like, remember all those years that you were so anxious over not wanting to become your mom? And I thought about one of those questions that people ask about, you know, if you could talk to your younger self, what advice would you give them? And in that moment, I was like, I would tell my younger self to stop fretting about becoming your mom and just focus on whether or not you're enjoying life. Because whether or not you become your mom is not really something that you can control. Genetically, you probably can't not become your mom on some level. Behaviorally, maybe. But the more anxious you are about something, the more you are likely to reinforce it. Even if it's like a negative reinforcement, it's still a reinforcement of a paradigm of avoidance. But if you focus on, am I enjoying my life? That is a positive redirectioning of taking stock of whether or not you are aligned. So yes, that was my pee break moment. Thanks, gentle turd. What a name. You know, if you try hard enough, you can definitely make chicken meatballs and pasta into mush. I'm not sure if you're cooking for family or just for yourself. Your family might not be too enthusiastic about that transformation, but it's possible. Anything's possible, especially mush. It's good. Wow, that processed taste still comes through at the very end. I thought it wasn't gonna come through. There's like a tinny taste. Very interesting. It's actually not salty enough, but I think once it cools, it will be. Although we did add a lot of shit in here. Time to add more shit. Here's my red East rice, crushed up. This is for my cholesterol experiment. Apparently red rice yeast can help lower cholesterol. And then we're gonna add some delicious nutritional yeast. Lots of yeast all around. All the yeast. Crunchy onions. Yes. We could do some crunchy scallions, or we could do some shallot slices. Didn't even open them yet. Today's the day. Purple. Air dried, not fried, but taste fried. Very crunchy. A lot of people are like, I miss Budget Eats, I miss your videos. And I'm like, well, the show's dead. I might be dead soon, but the spirit lives on. Also, I want people to become Budget Eats. Like, you know that show was a tutorial, right? I basically showed you every single wacky thing I do in the kitchen so that you too can be fucking wacky in the kitchen. I don't want people to want Budget Eats as an eternal show for consumption. I want you to become it. Embody the spirit of Budget Eats. Man, that red yeast rice is just not palatable. It's pretty though. It colors everything into this like deep brick magenta tone. Tastes horrible. Hate it. I hate how finely I ground it because I think I liked it more when I was like coarsely ground versus finely ground. Finely ground just releases so much more flavor compounds. Doesn't always work out well. Kind of like finely ground black pepper versus coarsely ground black pepper. Very different experiences. Okay, I know I said no more salt, but I'm gonna add in a little bit of miso because I feel like it's missing something. I expected too much out of that Campbell's. I love the textural vibe of this though. The carrots are creamy, but bigger chunks. The cabbage has a little bit of like a more textured layer, cooked down softness to it. The peas are little gentle pops. The mushrooms are a little bit chewy. The TVP is like ground up meat chewy. The collard greens are a little more fibrous. Somebody commented on my video from my live from last week. I hope you're not using MSG that you always seem to use that causes health issues. That fucking triggered me. If you think all of my health issues come from me using MSG, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna let this cool down. Flavor wise, this mush is like currently a 6.3. It's not very enthralling. I think I was relying on the cream of mushroom to be so delicious in that fast food way, and it's just not pulling through. Possibly because I just added too much to dilute it. Like if we just went with carrots and peas and mushrooms, probably perfect. I realized at the time that probably adding in so much scallions and so much collards, I was mixing too many different flavor worlds into each other. But I think I was also like overwhelmed by the thought of cooking multiple dishes. But these ingredients probably would have fared better separately. Like I think the collards would have done better cooked with white beans in a more barbecue sauce flavor way. And I think I could have held back probably 80% of the scallions to like incorporate that into like a tuna salad. In fact, if I didn't cook the collard greens and just saved all the leaves, I probably could have made a tuna salad with more scallions and then used the collard greens as wraps. So like that, this is where my budget eats brain kicks in. If I had to do it for a job, this pot of ingredients could have been 3 or 4 separate meals. But because I'm literally just trying to cook food that is nutritionally balanced and easy, because I don't have energy anymore to deal with this shit, and because it's gonna be hot, and because my arm hurts when I cut things now with a knife, a pot of mush that ranks in the 6s out of 10s is probably the most I can do for myself without it completely depleting my energy store, which to be honest, I'm exhausted right now. But yeah, this is what I can do. But if I had pre-pandemic energy and pre-genocide excitement with experimenting with meals and food and ingredients, and you know, a much younger, innocent, naive understanding of worldly mechanisms, I could have probably made 8 out of 10 meals, but I can't right now. Cheers. Great question. I'm actually pretty cool with casseroles. I don't know what the hate is on casseroles. I think people think that it's like old people suburban leftovers from the 50s shit, but like I love mushy baked casseroles with butter and cream and crunchy toppings. Green bean casseroles, sure. Tuna casserole, not sure about the noodles getting so soft, but sure. You know, any sort of baked potato layered casserole, yeah, why not? Sweet potato casserole, it's probably too sweet for me, but sure, delicious. You know, what's not to like? If you think about it, I feel like pies are kind of casseroles too. You know, it's like wrapped up in a pie crust, but the inside is mushy baked shit. A pie is a casserole. That's my hot take for the day. Miso made it better. I think the red yeast rice made it worse. So, you know, if you eliminate the red yeast rice, this probably would have been a 7. You add miso, it probably would have been a 7.5, but that's where it tops out on. So, If I had any sort of like my leftover chorizo that's still in the freezer in here, whole different story. The whole thing about restaurant food tasting so good is more fat and more salt than you would ever use in your own kitchen when you could see the ingredients going into it. So yeah, if I added a stick of butter to this right now and like a teaspoon more of salt, that would have been an immediate 1.5 elevation on the point rating. It took me a while to come around to pie, but I like it now. I like the part where the crust gets soggy and fudgy and jammy from the fruit juices sitting overnight. I think I would like a leftover pie more than I would like a fresh pie. And if you can safely leave out the pie overnight at room temperature instead of refrigerating it, that's the best pie texture for me. The more I eat this though, the more I get into it. Should I put ketchup on this? I really want to. It's just like, it's really hearty and it feels like I'm getting all of my nutrients, and it really feels like it's recharging my battery as I eat it. It's weird. It doesn't taste all that delicious, but it feels like my body is being fueled, so. Okay, I don't have Tabasco, but I have these test sauces. So do you want the garlic and pepperoncini hot sauce? Or do you want the collards and ghost hot sauce? This sounds intense. This is a 5. This is a 5 out of 5. This is a 1 out of 5. I think I can only handle this right now. So garlic and pepperoncini by Hot and Saucy. Oh, I think there's actual pepperoncini in here that's getting stuck on the opening. It's like a relish texture. Okay. Okay. Smells flavorful. Mmm. Yo, great call. Great call on that. That was an amazing addition. Pomegranate sauce with ketchup? All right, well, we're gonna have to try that. Yeah, we can try to see my cat. I don't know where he is. He hasn't been feeling well. But yes. Terrible packaging because most of the pepperoncini is stuck inside when I want it to come out. Sad. Sad but true. Alright, y'all. You know what? This is probably gonna fuck shit up, but let's try this 5 out of 5 collared and ghost. Because, I don't want this sitting here forever. Oh, yeah. Ooh. That's thick. And scary looking. Collared and ghost. Ooh, smoky. Yeah, it's spicier. It's not, okay, yeah, there it is. It takes a while to hit. It's good though. Very good. Very spicy. Very good. This is samples that I got from the Fancy Food Show. And the owner seemed very, very lovely and hilarious. So if you like hot sauce, hot and saucy, check them out. That relishy one was so good. Oh, I'm sweating. That made me sweat. Whew. All right, who wants to go see Memo? Before we see Memo, we're gonna have to try this, right? Because you said that ketchup and pomegranate molasses are good together. So we're gonna try that because you said it's good. This is just back in stock, by the way. This is your Truman Show moment of today. A little product placement. Okay, I don't know if I used too much, but we're gonna give it a nice mix. Get it nice and saucy. It is adding a very delicious, almost like balsamic-y glaze. You people know food, don't you? Mm-hmm. How interesting. It's like a fruity, fresh ketchup. Huh. It makes it taste so much brighter. Which makes sense, because there's like fruit juice in here now. Amazing tip. Thank you so much for sharing that tip. Mm-hmm. Guess what, guys? We got it to an 8.3. Like Eddie said, acid, sugar, and salt. We added hot sauce, we added ketchup, we added palm. Acid, sugar, and salt. Brilliant. All right, we will grab our offering. I will cut it. We'll see if our prince will come out. Oh, he's not there. Where is he? Where are you? Oh, you're here. What a little darling boy. Darling boy. Yeah. Did you hear that? You heard it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I kiss? Yes, thank you. Yeah, for a guy shitting his guts out and puking every other day, he looks pretty good. Told you look pretty good. And he lets me do whatever I want while he's licking the lolly. He started getting, he got angry at me for saying this earlier, so he might get angry again, but he started getting dingleberries on his butthole. So I'm probably gonna have more toxoplasmosis infections very soon. So if I seem more erratic and crazy, it's probably literally because I am more crazy now because we just got cat poop, basically. He's trailing his cat poop everywhere. Babes, you got your cat parasites all over my bed. I'm pretty sure he has food sensitivities, but at this point I don't really know what he will eat anymore, and the food that probably won't trigger him. Like, I've spent money buying food that's diet friendly for stomach issues and sensitive digestive systems. He won't touch them. So at this point, I'm just like, whatever you want to eat, I'll just feed you, because any food is better than no food, because if he doesn't have food in his system, he's just gonna die really fast. So we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I had no idea his tongue was this long until I saw it wrap all the way around a lolly. Oh, to love anything the way Memo loves a lolly. Yeah. Sorry, gotta switch hands. My index finger started hurting. I really do think I'm hypermobile, which apparently tends to cause more joint issues as you age, because when you're hypermobile, you just extend all your joints way further back than you're supposed to, and over time that results in wear and tear. I'm sorry, am I talking too much? Okay, I'll shut up. Was that good, baby? Did you like your lolly? Oh, good. Thank you for eating and leaving crumbs everywhere. I'm glad we got 4 calories into you. Whole 4 calories. Just kidding, that was rage bait. It's actually 7 calories, okay? For all of that packaging, it comes wrapped on a paper stick with a foil wrapper encased in a plastic container. 7 calories. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is a TheraBand brand Flex Bar. I don't actually know what my issue is, but if you have like golfer's elbow, this apparently is a physical therapy tool that you can use. I don't know what I have, so this could be doing absolutely nothing for me. Because if I have a nerve issue where the nerve is out of place and is causing all this pain and friction, then that requires surgery. But if you have overuse issues like golfer's elbow or tennis elbow, apparently, you grab it, you flex your wrist like this, and then, wait, how do you do it? Oh, sorry. Arm is 90-degree angles. You flex your wrist like this. You grab it with your other hand like this, okay? And then you twist it. So you're causing some tension here. and then you extend both hands, and then you release the injured hand slowly forward so that the bar is parallel again to itself. And apparently some people cure their golfer's elbow by doing 3 sets of 15 over like months. I'm trying everything. So, oh my gosh, are you looking at him being so cute in the background? What a cutie. Fuck the flex bar. Let's look at the cutie. Oh, you stop being so cute. Go back to being cute. JK, you're still cute. Okay, relax. We'll let you be cute. So yes, that's what my life is now. Feeding my cat 7 calories on a stick, cleaning up poop, probably getting toxoplasmosis infection, hormones are out of whack, nerves are damaged, things are hurty, but we're still going. And we're gonna keep eating stuff that makes us happy and or healthy, and keep listening to strangers on the internet who tell you to put ketchup with pomegranate molasses. You brilliant freaks. I do open curtains so he can see birds, but I do it before 9 a.m. or after 6 p.m. because I'm trying to keep out the sunlight that heats up my apartment on the hotter days. So we're almost at 6 p.m. now. So I'm gonna enjoy my weird ass mush and open up the curtain so he can see birds. So he can make some sounds. Oh, today he had extra protein in his diet because I saw him crouching and I was like, what are you about to throw up? But no, it turns out he was stalking a bug. He chased that bug down. I was gonna kill that bug, but then I was like, oh, he very rarely gets stimulated like this, so this probably is good for him. And he proceeded to kill the bug and also eat it. And I wasn't expecting that, but he ate the bug. He did not eat any of his normal cat food, but he ate the bug. So that's a cat. Great. Love it. Love it. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Love you all so much. Hope you're taking care of yourselves and your loved ones and your enemies. Like, sometimes the people you love are your enemies, and sometimes your enemies are the people you love. You don't know sometimes. But anyway, keep eating, keep surviving, keep managing your pain in ways that bring you perspective that you can share with me so that I know we're all going through it somehow and surviving. And good luck with the end of Mercury in retrograde, and good luck with Aries and moons, and good luck with all the shit. All right.